Hello everyone, I'm Kevin, otherwise known as Form BX257, here to bring you another 1980s and 90s G.I. Joe toy review. This video is one of a series of 4 looking at the 1990 G.I. Joe sub-team Sky Patrol. The series consists of 6 figures, all with working silver foil parachutes, and 4 vehicles, all with vac metallized silver chrome bodies. They were all sold separately, and the vehicles had no designated driver or pilot. In this second of 4 Sky Patrol videos, I'm going to be taking a look at the Sky Patrol Audible Frequency Specialist, otherwise known as a communication specialist, Airwave, and the vehicle, the Sky Havoc. Now, like I said before, none of the characters or vehicles from the Sky Patrol ever made appearances in the old Marvel comic run of G.I. Joe, but they both make appearances in the 1990 de-animated series of G.I. Joe. Both Airwave and the Sky Havoc make their first appearance in the episode The Mind Mangler. Take a look at Airwave first, more specifically his accessories, and I'll go through the common accessories for all the Sky Patrol figures. He came with a parachute backpack, which had the same sculpting for all of the Sky Patrol characters. They were in different colors, but with one caveat, which I'll get to in just a minute. Of course, you pull the ripcord, this thing opened up, and inside was a gigantic silver foil parachute. Now, this was common to all of the figures. It had an eagle design with a thunderbolt or lightning bolt on it. The thing was rather giant, which is one of the reasons why I don't really want to fold this thing up into too many of these things that this thing might just sort of strain and break off. And of course, the other common thing to all of the figures was this generic instruction sheet. It's basically just telling you how to put the parachute and fold it up and how to actually use it, because it was a working parachute. I go into a bit more detail in my Skydive, Static Glide, and Sky Hawk review previous to this. Now, I did say that there was a caveat when it came to the backpack coloration, and of course that is with his fellow Sky Patrol member, Drop Zone, who came with a brown plastic backpack just like Airwave. So I'm not quite sure if this is a different shade or something that I'm not seeing, because apparently I can't really differentiate between very, very similar shades. Sort of a known fact with me. And taking a look at Airwave's unique accessories, he comes with a rifle. And that's all it was called on the contents list. For some strange reason, the contents list was very vague as to the accessories that the figures actually came with. A very interesting looking assault rifle here, with the ammunition coming out the top and bottom. At least it's a little bit better than 1988 Spearhead's gun, which had 2 different ammunitions side by side. So I guess this one feeds regular bullets through the top one, the regular barrel, and looks like 40mm grenades launching through the bottom here. I'm not sure if this is based on any real world assault rifle. It could be. I mean, it doesn't look very practical, but it does look possible at the very least. I mean, I've seen top-loading machine guns before, but they're usually tripod-mounted, dedicated machine guns rather than something you carry around, but yeah, whatever. Next, he comes with a helmet, which has a movable visor. Goes up and down. But before I take it off, you can kind of see that his nose kind of goes over the lip. So this is actually a fairly easy figure helmet to put onto his head, but it's really hard to take off because it's, well, just sort of trapped under his nose. So I have to sort of wiggle it off there, and there we go. Of course, the visor can just pop off like that. It's a fairly flexible material, so I don't have to worry about it cracking. And here's the detail that the huge visor actually obscures. Just like Static Line, even though he is the communications officer for the Sky Patrol, he doesn't come with any actual communication devices. Like all the Sky Patrol figures, he is, from the neck down, a complete remold of a previous figure, specifically a driver figure. And in Airwave's case, he is a reuse of the Cobra Stun 1986 Motor Viper body. Very nice. I kind of liked all the detail on the original Motor Viper, which was pretty much all picked out in paint, and we get that with Airwave again. So that's really nice that they pretty much used the same paint masking as they did for the Motor Viper. In this case, they actually added some camo to his legs. So that's nice. And while the actual Motor Viper's outfit is rather, well, I wouldn't say odd. I mean, it's just padding and strange little tubes over his chest. I think I recall saying that in my original Stun review that I thought these tubings might have actually have been like a three-prong clamp just to hold him into his seat instead of a regular seat belt. And I think that's kind of one of the reasons why I actually chose Airwave to be my driver for the Sky Havoc, which I'll get to in just a second. But speaking of the Havoc, taking a look at this guy's face, he's pretty much the only pleasant, smiling-looking face sculpt that they have. All the face sculpts for the Sky Patrol characters were unique to them. But in a lot of ways, it actually reminds me of a better version of the original Havoc's driver, Cross Country. Now, Cross Country's face is actually based on a real person, but I think the sculptor went and sort of exaggerated the features just so that you can tell who it was at this scale. Unfortunately, I think he went a little bit overboard on some of the more notable aspects of Guy Cassidy's actual face, and I think that this actually looks quite a bit better. Unfortunately, like all the Sky Patrol figures, they are massively popular with collectors, and they kind of have an inflated value on the aftermarket right now anyway. So while I would really like to recommend this guy to bulk up your desert forces, like if you need a desert paratrooper, because they really don't have one until the 1994 Battle Corps Flint, I think, this would be a nice guy to actually add to your desert forces. Here's a weird bit of trivia. Airwave's file name shown here, Cliff V. Mewett, was reused for Colonel Courage, a 1993 figure. Nothing else from Airwave's file card was recycled, just the name. Despite the inflated value that all the Sky Patrol figures are enjoying right now, Airwave is actually a fairly sturdy figure, and all of his accessories are not prone to any type of breakage that I'm aware of. So he's actually a fairly easy figure to find completely intact, and all you have to really worry for is his paintwork. Of course, all Sky Patrol figures are prone to missing the actual parachute inside the parachute backpacks. That's one thing that you do have to look out for. And of course, well, like I said, the instructions are kind of optional. It just depends on whether or not you collect it with all the paperwork. Of course, that would include the specific file card for the figure as well. And now to take a look at the Sky Patrol Havoc, which originally stood for Heavily Articulated Vehicle Ordnance Carrier, and I've just applied it to this, which is fair because this is a remold of that vehicle. However, on the box and on the instruction sheet, it doesn't actually say what the acronym stands for or whether or not it is an acronym. So, oh well. It doesn't really matter because this has all the same features, starting with its rather large length. There's a figure just to show you just how big this ground vehicle is in this airborne line. Yes, that is very strange, but don't worry, I'm not going to hate on this vehicle because I actually do kind of like it. As I said, the Sky Patrol Sky Havoc has all the same features as the original 1986 Havoc, which I'll compare to directly in a moment. They didn't take out any features, and they didn't add any features in. You can see it still has articulating front and rear tracks. It still has removable track hubcaps. It still has the moving side-to-side little front lasers. It still has the problem of not being able to open the canopy unless you move the main cannon out of the way. By doing that, you have to angle it up and then sort of push it out like this. And then you can fit two figures in there, lying down, face down on these monitors, with these being the front grips. Of course, this top cannon holds a figure, and as people are rather fond of doing, using that as the driver's seat rather than just a gunner seat. It's ratcheted here and ratcheted as well here, so we have a lot of positions that this thing can actually stay in. Directly behind that is the removable engine cover to show off the nice sparkly detail. Well, didn't have sparkly detail on the original. It's just because this thing is completely all chrome body. On the back here, we have 4 removable missiles. Here I'm just pointing them backwards because that's the way it shows on the box art and on the instruction sheet. They're pointed backwards on the original 1986 Havoc as well. Again, these are exactly the same mold as the original Havoc missiles, but they're just done in a different kind of caramel colored. On top of that, we have 2 swiveling little guns. And the whole back section folds open to reveal a little hovercraft, which has its own bunch of guns. It's all chromed, and the bottom fans of the hovercraft move side to side to simulate being able to turn. Very odd feature, which quite frankly I don't like. I would have preferred a spinning thing rather than just the whole thing moving around like that, because it does make it actually kind of a bit difficult to line this thing up when you're putting it back in here, because the bay, like the original 1986 Havoc, actually has these circular points in which you have to put the little scout vehicle back in. And also, like the original 1986 Havoc, we have foot pegs going all around the back edge of the vehicle. 3 on this side, 3 on that side, and 2 back there, meaning that you can have 8 hangers on. Of course, the 3 on the side are going to get dumped out when you open the doors, and the 2 back there are probably also in danger of being knocked off if you launch the recon vehicle hovercraft that way. But you can always use your imagination to just assume that that works. Of course, with the 2 in the front and 1 at the top, this thing is actually a personnel carrier on top of everything else, so you can carry up to 11 figures, which is almost twice the amount of actual Sky Patrol figures that you get in this line. I've taken off all the rearward weapons just to demonstrate exactly how I use this thing in my displays. I don't use it as a combat vehicle. Instead, with its very nice all-over chrome and the red stripings, this actually reminds me of an aircraft crash crew vehicle. Basically, I'm actually using this as an airfield fire truck, and I think it actually works very well. Just pretending that these things are actually water nozzles, and well, there you go. You don't really need any more imagination just to pretend that this thing is a rescue vehicle. Just pop this thing open, and this thing is a little air ambulance instead of a recon combat vehicle. Of course, I do have to say that this thing is very, very beautiful with its all over chrome. This thing is actually playing havoc with my white balance. But yeah, this thing is very well done. It's a very heavy chrome job on this plastic. This is another vehicle that was actually done in Brazil, rather than Pawtucket, Rhode Island in the United States, where the original was actually made. So I don't know if that has anything to do with how well done the chroming is, but man, this thing is like a mirror finish once you buff it a little bit with a cloth. And here it is with the original mold donor, the 1986 Havoc. Basically, they've changed every color on this thing except for, I believe, the windshield. The windshield actually kind of looks like the same tint as the original. Of course, here is the two Scout hovercraft. The Sky Patrol Sky Havoc actually does have kind of a premium on the aftermarket due to the immense amount of parts which can pop off of this thing, as I'm demonstrating right here. However, it's not on the top of a lot of people's lists, so you do see a lot of them on the aftermarket. So there is a lot of things to look out for, because despite the fact that it is not the most valuable Sky Patrol vehicle, it is the one which is the hardest to complete. Trust me. You have the Scout hovercraft, you have its two guns, you have the Sky Havoc proper's hubcaps, we have two guns which go onto the back doors, all four missiles, and of course, you really can't forget that engine cover because, well, quite frankly, it's hard to see in photographs if you put it on or take it off. Sometimes sellers just don't photograph this thing, you know, being forward or back so you can see whether or not the engine cover is even in there. However, this thing does have one breakage problem, which again is very hard to see in photographs sometimes, and that is whether or not the joystick on the gunner seat is still there. That was a problem on the original 1986 Havoc, and of course, it's a problem here as well. Here's another weird bit of trivia. Although 3 of the 4 vehicles are made in Brazil, I can't find any evidence of a domestic Brazilian release for any Sky Patrol vehicles. Hopefully an international collector will correct me, but the only Sky Patrol toys released in Brazil are 4 original characters. 2 G.I. Joes, or Commandos Emassao, and 2 Cobras. Obviously, these were reuses of previous molds, but none of them uses the same ones used for the standard North American, UK, and European releases. Who also came with a brown, but it's not the most valuable vehicle on. It actually does have an inflated. Well, that's all the time I have right now. Please check out my Facebook page for more information and behind the scenes photos for these reviews. Thank you for watching this video, and stay tuned for next time to see another 1980s G.I. Joe toy review. See you then.